So basically, you're not going to be dying at any point. You're literally never going to die in maps. As you can see, I'm level 98. It's crazy how good this is.
Part of your mind, there is untold power.
Resist the assault.
The Atlas is everything we see, and everything we do not.
Hey guys, Devin752 here, back again with the build guide. This time it's the Hotstepper that was once before build of the week, and it's still kind of the king. I'm not gonna lie, this might be a recurring theme every league that I revive this build because it's just so good. As you can see, there's portals here to like the Uber Elder. I just did it. Didn't die, which is really nice. So yeah, it performs really well, clears really well, and now I'm gonna tell you how it works. So let's get started. First off, let's start with the weapon. So I'm using a rare weapon, the Scepter. Why Scepter? Because, well, it has elemental damage. You can also convert the quality for even more elemental damage, and then of course you can get a damage over time multi, fire damage over time multi, cold damage to spells, which also amplifies our spell because we're an elementalist. So any type of damage added to us gets converted to ignite damage because all damage can ignite. So even this cold damage to spell is really good. The only stat here that's bad is the attack speed. Level of all spell skill gems is self-explanatory. Buffs literally everything that you have, including the auras, the Frostblink, curses, the golems, absolutely everything. So it's kind of like one of the best modifiers that you can have. And then I just crafted some fire damage. So this is a bonkers of a scepter, and even if you like get one stat less here, like let's say there's no damage over time multi, it's still gonna be super good. An alternative to this is going to be this. So this would be the ideal weapon because increased cooldown recovery of a rate of travel skills is much better than something like 32% increased elemental damage, right? It's much better. So I've been rolling this. I couldn't get it to this level. Why? Because this one cannot roll fire damage over time multiplier, so you need to craft it, right? So you need to get the rest of it by rolling, basically. And I was rolling with lightning damage to spells, essence, and was trying to get a +1 to cold, damage over time multi, and then ideally I would get the last one, which is the damage over time multi, damage with spells with the essence, cold spell skill gems. So that's 3 stats. One is fracture, and then the 5th one would be the one that I craft, the fire damage over time multi. Also, of course, something like dexterity, if you roll it, it's gonna be bonkers. So this is the ideal weapon. Still didn't roll it properly. Very expensive if you want to be doing this. Otherwise, just try to get something like this, you know, on the market. I'm telling you, even if it's a 1 modifier off, it's gonna be absolutely fine. The gems inside is the automation, steel skin, just for protection. It's really good. I took it imbued with more duration because then you have more uptime of steel skin. This gets it up to something like 60% uptime, which is really good. And then we have flesh and stone, which gives you less damage taken to all of the monsters that are basically inside this radius. It's a huge survivability tool. The helmet, what's important here is that you get this implicit corruption. So I have Melons with the corruption of reservation multiplier. Why this is important? Because we're squeezing the auras as much as possible. If you do not get this, and if you do not get Enlightened 4, so both of these are needed if you want to have all of these auras. So Flesh and Stone, Grace, Purity of Elements, Malevolence, and Automation doesn't count because that doesn't reserve anything. But if you want all 4 of these auras, then you need 90% cost of reservation multi and enlighten level 4, okay? Because as you can see, my mana is literally 1, okay? So mana is literally 1. The how we're using spells is with the energy shield with Eldritch Battery. But if you don't have it, if you're poor or whatever, if you don't have the cash, that's absolutely fine. You can leave it at level 3. Maybe you don't even need this one. You're not even gonna need the implicit then. Just remove Flesh and Stone, and instead of Flesh and Stone, place the support here that will amplify our automation, and it's going to be the cooldown recovery support gem, the new one that they added, the exceptional one. It increases the cooldown recovery of support skill gems by 45%, which is going to be bonkers for your steel skin. So it's going to be much more uptime, and it kind of serves the same purpose of protecting you just like Flesh and Stone. So there's an alternative, a cheaper alternative. That's what I was using until I got Enlightened 4 and this helmet, right? Why this helmet? Because nearby enemies have increased fire and cold resistances. Now this is kind of counterintuitive, right? Why would I increase their fire and cold resistances? But this also applies to the negative values, right? So as you can see, we're using 2 curses that reduce the resistances of enemies, so flammability and elemental weakness. And then additionally, we're also using a brand that casts Wave of Conviction, which applies exposure And then this exposure gets amplified even further with Mastermind of Discord. And then it also gets amplified even more by Fire Mastery by -5 resistance. So as you can see, like the -5 resistance is going into like -100 on the enemy, right? So it's like 31, this is 38, and then the exposure is I don't know how much. So it's a -100 on any boss or something like that. Even if the boss has like 60, it's still going to be in the minus. And then what this helmet does is it amplifies that minus. So if it's like -30% on the enemy fire resistance, then this is going to amplify it by 50%, which is going to be -45%. And that's why it gives us so much damage. Why this is also important is because it gives you energy sheen for the Eldritch Battery and evasion rating, of course. If all of our items are evasion rating, then we are getting free spell suppression from this notable, 15%, which is quite a bit. Okay, so yeah, this is where we place all of the auras because of this implicit, and then Malevolence, Purity of Elements, Grace, and Enlighten. And this one is just here separated from these gems, so it doesn't get increased costs. Okay, the amulet that I'm using is this one. Why? Because I like this plus level 2 all skill gems. Again, it amplifies literally everything. Frostblink, your golems, your auras. It's absolutely bonkers. And it also improves the quality of all skill gems, which is also bonkers. That's going to be your Frostblink, all of your golems. And why it's important for the golems is because from the modifier that they get is the buff effect, actually. So as you can see, they have like 55% increased buff effect. And since we're the elementalist, we are taking this notable, Liege of the Primordial, and we can have 4 golems, right? So we're going to have Golem of Safeguarding, Stone Golem, Chaos Golem, Flame Golem. So this is AoE damage, this is damage and chaos resistance, and this is defenses. This is a dodgy character, so there's going to be a lot of evasion that we're getting from this. Life regen, why the hell not? It's good against dots. And then safeguarding, basically 35% of melee damage taken from hits is taken from our Stone Golem, right? And since we're a dodgy character, like you can see dodge spells, max dodge spells, maximum spell block, block attack damage, and then evade attacks. Even when you use a flask, it kind of caps out on 95. So nothing will ever hit you, but even if it does, it's going to get blocked by the Steel Skin, it's going to get blocked by the Stone Golem, and yeah, it's also going to get reduced with the Wind Dancer, which is insane. So basically you're not going to be dying at any point. But yeah, that's why we're using this one. It buffs the golems into oblivion. It also buffs your damage. And why the heck not? Anointed with Ash, Frost, and Storm, because we're using all of the ailments. Of course, Ignite. Every time when we hit something, it gets ignited. So that gets amplified. What else gets amplified? So all of the other ailments, actually it's a non-damaging, right? So it's only going to apply to Chill and Shock. Chill, it gets applied by Frostblink. As you can see, it leaves this chill ground. So this gets amplified, and of course the Shock gets amplified. But Shock we get for free from this one, and hits always Shock. And this is very important that you take this one, because this increases damage taken by at least 25. Means even bosses are always going to be on 50% shock damage taken. So the shock is going to be maxed out. So this is why this anointment is the best one. Okay, and it also gives us some elemental damage, which is nice. While we're at anointments on our belt, I'm using the Fleetfoot. Here, this is kind of optional. You can do Fleetfoot or you can do Aspect of Stone. Aspect of Stone is the best defensive one. But why I took Fleetfoot is because of the cooldown recovery rate of movement skills. I don't have the dagger. If I had a dagger, I would remove this Fleetfoot, right? Because then I would get the cooldown recovery here. But since I don't have it, I took it here. But if you manage to craft the dagger properly, that 5 modifiers are really good damage-wise, then you would of course use this one, replace this, then you remove Fleetwork and take Aspect of Stone. Aspect of Stone is literally the best in slot after this, if you don't... But yeah, I needed this for the really good quality of life. And it also gives some evasion, so it's very nice to have. Okay, since we're at the belt, I'm going to explain. So we're just getting some attributes, strength, dexterity, very important. You're going to need a lot of strength and dexterity, maximum life, and some chaos stress, okay? Some maximum energy shield because of the Eldritch Battery. It's very nice. I thought this one was fractured, so I was like, why the hell not? I don't think there's anything better that I can get on the implicits. Maybe you can get some evasion, but that's about it. And then, as you can see, the ring also has strength dexterity, very important. I crafted this with an essence with increased fire damage, so I made sure that the suffixes are perfect. Suffixes cannot be changed, and then you just slam a Veiled Orb. You block some bad Veiled modifiers on the bench, and then you reveal it. I reveal this fire and cold damage, and as I said, any type of damage that you get to spells is also going to get applied to the Ignite because of our Ascendancy. So this is giving me fire damage, then more fire damage, then cold damage, which is also converted to fire damage, some life, strength dexterity, just a perfect ring for us. Okay, so that's for the ring. The other ring is Polaric Devastation. Needs to be in the left slot, just because then it covers the enemies in Ash when you ignite them, which is every single time you hit them, so it's absolutely fine. You get a shit ton of resistances from this one, and some elemental damage as well. So it's very good. Also prolongs the duration of the ignite. That's the best in slot. Shield, very important. So since we're going for spell suppression and dodging, so I took the acrobatics, right? So we're trying to dodge all of the spells. As you can see, it's capped on 75% dodge. But if that fails, right? If the dodge fails, then we rely on the replica Mistwall. It basically says you're at maximum chance to block spell damage if you have not blocked recently. You're not going to be blocking recently. Why? Because, first of all, we don't have a lot of attack block, as you can see. We have a lot of evade. So basically on maps, you're 95% evade, so attacks are never going to hit you, basically. So you're not going to be blocking that. But you're also going to be dodging, right? So you're not going to be blocking that. But if it fails at one point, you're going to block it most likely with this, because it maxes out your spell block if you have not blocked recently. Of course, as soon as you block, then there's like a downtime where this is not active, but it's a huge defensive layer. One more thing that you get from this is avoid physical damage from hits while phasing. You're going to be phasing because we're using a quartz flask, so as long as you have this active, it's going to be permanently up on your maps. And you're also going to be avoiding physical damage from hits. And if you combine it with the aspect of stone, you're literally never going to die in maps. As you can see, I'm level 98. It's crazy how good this is. Okay. Inside here we have flammability, elemental weakness, hex bloom. You also want to imbue one of the gems with something. Inspiration was up my alley. Why? I just wanted to reduce some of the costs. Ideally, you want the hex bloom there, and then you can, improve this with enhance or something so that the curses are better. But this is good enough for me. Okay. So the boots and the gloves are just evasion as well. Has to be evasion because of the notable that we talked about. Here I placed all of the golems, explained all of them, how they work. They get amplified by this. It's very good. We have 4 golems. Why 4? Because we also take this node here, Golemancer +1. Also increases the buff effect. So this increases the buff effect, this increases the buff effect, and they're all 20% quality, so they're also getting even more buff effect. Ideally, one of the golems you want to also have something imbued. I recommend maximum life, because of the golem of safeguarding. It needs more life to survive more hits, because as soon as you take something, he's going to be taking damage. So just give him more life and he's going to be happy. If you get on any of these golems, if you have something imbued, all of them get the support, right? So it's going to be like a 5 link. Applies to all of it, by the way. And the boots, standard spell suppression, life, some chaos res, movement speed, 1 resistance. That's it. The implicits needs to be ignite. Okay, so look out for this. While a unique enemies in your presence. So these are the best modifiers. So always while a unique enemies, not pinnacle, not the default ones, but this one. While a unique enemies in your presence ignites, deal damage faster. Drop scorched ground, lasting 6 seconds. Okay, same goes for the gloves. Evasion, max life, spell suppress, some dexterity, lightning res, and then implicit suppress spell damage. And then again, while a unique enemy is in your presence, fire damage. Okay. Here we have Arcanist Brand. You just basically slap it on somebody. It's going to last forever. Not forever, but very long. And then it's going to apply Wave of Conviction, so exposure, Flame Surge, which also burns them a lot. This only needs to be level 1. And Calling Strike, because you want call somewhere. And then this is imbued with Combustion, which means if you ignite with this, well, if you hit with this, it's also going to reduce some fire resistance on the enemies, which is really nice. You can also get the culling here, imbued with culling or combustion, doesn't matter, swap it out. Chest piece, the best one. Of course, I found the best one with the implicit duration AoE gems. Of course, +1 socketed would be even better, maybe. Actually, maybe not. I think this is optimal. So if you can get something like this, it's going to be bonkers. Just one of the implicits is also absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Then just look, if you're looking for one of the implicits, then make sure that the increased damage with movement spells is higher. This is kind of like the lowest roll, but I have these two implicits, so I didn't really care, you know. But if you're going to have just one of the implicits, then at least make sure that the increased damage with movement skills is kept. You know, here Frostblink, as you can see, it's level 31, gets a lot from the chest piece. +1 gems here, +1 gems here, etc., etc. Swift Affliction, burning damage, cold to fire, unbound ailments, ignite proliferation. You notice that I'm not using Empower. The gem is already level 30. After level 30, the scaling drops significantly, so you don't need it. Absolutely don't need it. Imbued with deadly ailments, much better than that +1 level. Same logic as with Empower, you don't need the extra level. It's super high anyway, because of the chest piece and the items that we're using. And Bronze Lead, of course, because damage with movement skills. Frostblink is a movement skill. It gets +5 level of movement skills gems, so +7 just from the chest piece without the implicit. Ups the damage on this quite significantly. One more thing, if you're going to be placing in power, it's also going to increase the mana cost. And as you can see, it's very significant currently as well, so you need to watch out for that as well. Keep it logical. That's all of the items. So the flasks, immunity to corrupting blood, much needed. Then quartz flask with the effect of curses. This is mostly due to phasing and the synergy with the replica missile. The spell suppression is kept anyway, regardless of this. Reduced effect of curses, and then in unison with some of these nodes, effect of curses, effect of curses, effect of curses, going to reduce most of it, right? This one, so critical strike chance shouldn't be here. This should be armor. This was something from before that I forgot to change. So armor plus percent armor as well here, and then here we need evasion rating on movement speed. It doesn't really need to be in this exact order, but you want this modifier. So evasion rating, this one needs to be armor, curses, and this one needs to be not immunity to poison. Actually, yeah, immunity to poison is very good because yeah, we don't have any other way of removing poison. So this is very good. But yeah, this one is going to give you a shit ton of evasion. This one movement speed, this one armor, this one spell suppression with phasing. The skill tree, a little bit, we're going for a bunch of reservation efficiency. So this, and then this. So we can use all of the auras and also enlighten. And this, I talked about. The rest of it is going to be a dot resistance. So Lethe Shade. There's going to be this, less damage taken from damage over time. Very important, so you don't get blasted by dots. This is the bane of dodgy builds, so make sure you get that. A little bit of golems. Everything else is just going to be damage over time damage. Yeah, damage over time multiplier. So this fire damage multiplier. Double curses. We need both curses. This is some energy shield, so you can use it without issues. A lot of evasion, acrobatics, life, spell suppression, even more spell suppression down here. And then a few important things. So we're using the Flesh and Stone. Either one of these and the nodes are going to be absolutely fine on Flesh and Stone. Just the cheapest one. This one was the cheapest when I was looking, so make sure you're not getting Mastermind on Discord. It's going to fuck you up. You cannot get to the last one then. And then this needs to be here. The Green Nightmare needs to be precisely here, because it makes you place the tattoos that give you cold resistance, right? And then this cold resistance also gets added to suppress spell damage because of the jewel. As you can see, it says passives granting cold resistance, or all elemental resistance in radius also grants spell suppression. So you just tattoo this, and this, and you get a shit ton of spell suppression. The rest of the dexterity nodes we convert into a chance to avoid being stunned, so we are immune to stun. 100%. 100%. and we're using some journey attitudes of the body here and here. This is like 50 flat life, 50 flat life, 50 flat life, so we can get a sizable amount of life. The rest of the tattoos is a little bit of reduced extra damage from crits. You don't want to die to these big crits that the enemies sometimes do. If I were to level one more level, I would take this 40% reduced extra damage from crits by cursed enemies. This is optimal. But yeah, that's for the passive tree. And I wanted to talk about one more thing, and that is the alternative way to build this. And this is with the Screamers of the Desiccate. I don't know. You take the Gloom Shrine and Massive Shrine, and then you basically drop on your Ascendancy. You drop the Heart of Destruction, right? And you drop Mastermind of Discord. You get the Forbidden Flame and Flash Jewels for the Mastermind of Discord. And then you go with the Nameless Ascendancy, and you go for the +1 ring slot. Here, utility flasks are disabled, you take this one, and you take this one, +1 ring slot. And then you add just one more ring that's really good, right? It will be like placed here. Then you would have 3 rings, which is really nice. You would have this belt. You cannot use these flasks then, utility, and every single flask needs to be instant then. So you can try this. I tried playing it with this, and it's not that bad. The only issue I had with this is you're losing the anointment here. So it means you really need to use an Infernal Blade, right? Because you're not going to be able to take the Fleetwood here. And you're going to be quite a bit slower because you're not going to have the Quicksilver Flask, right? So you're only going to rely on your movement skill. So that's why it's super important that you have this Infernal Blade with you. And of course, all of the instant life flasks. You can try playing with it. It has much better clear because of the Gloom Shrine and Massive Shrine. And it also has a little bit more tankiness, right? But it's quite a bit slower, so I opted out of it. I think this is, the current setup is optimal, okay? But this is a nice alternative that you can try. It's not bad. It's really not bad. But okay, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this showcase and explanation, and I'll see you next time. Peace.